What's up, everyone? It's Brent from BC Dubs. I am back. Yes, I am back, bringing another video. It's been way too long, my friends. I apologize to all my loyal subscribers. Man, it's just been too long. I really have no excuses for the length of time between videos, other than the fact I would say that I just wanted to have better content. And for me to get good content, especially in music, it takes me a while to round up some albums to bring to you folks. You know, I just don't want to go to the record store every 2 weeks and buy a bunch of, $5 albums and show them, because everybody's seen that stuff. You folks have seen it. Everybody's seen it. So I feel like today I got a special video for you folks, and I got some great albums to show you folks. As always, I got the 2 window albums up in the window. First one to guess what those are properly, leave it in the comments down below, and I will pin your comment up top. And always, hey man, listen, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Helps me and helps to grow this community. We're at 276 subscribers and we started with 1. So thanks to everyone that's already subscribed. And I really appreciate all the support so far. As always, we'll listen to some music in the background. I can't, or you can't hear it, excuse me, but I can. And it is Chevel. And this is their last studio album until their latest studio album, and more about that coming up in this video. If anybody's watched my videos since I started the channel, everyone knows that I completed Chevel's discography on CD, and got a little surprise for everyone that sticks around to the end of the video talking about Chevel. Great album, love Chevel. Anyway, I got my trusty notepad here with my notes, and we'll get right into this video here today. I got a lot of albums to show you folks, so we're going to get right into it. First up, we have Boogie with Canned Heat. This is a great copy. This particular copy is a 1968 press, so it's an original copy. I don't know if it's an original copy, but it is an original press from the year that this album actually came out. What I wrote down about this particular album is Boogie with Canned Heat. This album was on Liberty Studios. It's their second album from Canned Heat, released in 1968, as I said, and reached all the way up to number 16 in the US and number 5 in the UK, with hit songs like On the Road Again and Amphetamine Annie. It's a jam album, a lot of blues, early rock and blues elements in this record. It's a great record. It's a great listen. If you want to put something on that's just a jam, and just jam out, can't go wrong with Canned Heat. Really like this album, and trying to get my record collecting up to some more stuff that I actually want, and not so much as just grabbing records to fill up my shelves here. With that being said, I am considering starting a Whatnot store to sell some of my records, so I can sell some records, so I can buy more records that I particularly am wanting and I'm searching for. Some of the records I want are expensive. But anyway, that's number 1 tonight. That's Boogie with Canned Heat. Next up, everybody should be familiar with this album. This is Heart, Dreamboat Annie, and this is just this particular copy is just in wonderful shape. Wonderful shape. The jacket is perfect. The spine is perfect. There's the back of it there. Original inner sleeve. This particular pressing is on Capitol. This is a 1986 pressing of this record. Some things I learned about this album. I'm not a huge Heart fan, but it was such a clean copy of this record. I thought I'd grab it because it is an iconic album of Americana rock and roll. And so, I thought I would have it in my collection. If the album was all beat up, it's a chewed up copy, I probably wouldn't waste any money on it. Because this copy is in such good shape, I wanted to grab it. So, some things about this, obviously it features Crazy on You and Magic Man and the songs like that. But the album was first released in Canada. It's an American band, and I didn't know this, but the album was released in Canada first in 1975. It didn't even hit the US until 6 months later. It was on Mushroom. What was it? Mushroom Records. It was released in Canada on a private label, and then it came over to the U.S. where it just kind of took off with the songs like "Crazy on You" and "Magic Man." But like I said about Heart, I'm not the craziest Heart fan, but the album was so clean I thought I'd put it in my collection because hey man, if I want to hear "Crazy on You" or "Magic Man," I can put it in and listen to it and enjoy it. So Heart second up on the list. Next up, for all my thrash audience that I have out there, and please put down in the comments below if you've ever heard of this band before, because I haven't. I hadn't, and I saw this in the record store and bought it, and I'm glad I did. Man, am I glad I did. When I show you this, think 1987 thrash, 1986 thrash. Think that there are some melodies on this album and some writing on this album that would even make the boys from early Metallica proud, and some of those early thrash metal bands proud. When you hear this record, it just brings you back to that time, and it's very well done for modern metal. You can tell where their roots were. That's all I got to say. This is Hellfire Mania. This is their. Let me see what I wrote down here. I think this is their third album. It came out in 2019. They have 4 total. And everything I listened to, well, I've listened to 2 of their albums, and this one and their newest one, which I'm drawing a blank on the name of that right now. But man, it is killer thrash, heavy metal, great vocalist. And that killed a lot of thrash for me, was the music would be killer. And then, whoever would start singing, it's like, the voice doesn't match the music to me. I can't relate to that, but not with this band. Not with Hellfire Mania, or I'm sorry, with Hellfire, the band, period. It's a great thrash metal record. Highly recommend. If anybody's watching this channel and they never listened to this band, check them out. They're on YouTube, and listen to them. And you'll understand what I'm talking about when I'm saying, think, 1987 thrash, a 1984, 1985 thrash. That's what you get with a Hellfire album. It's incredible. Go check it out. Anything special about this record? Nope, just black vinyl. They do have, I was looking at their website before I made this video. They do have this particular album on clear, orange, and some, I think blue maybe was another color they had. That was the variant. But listen, if you like supporting great musicians, buy this record. You can go on their website. I think it's hellfiremetal.com and buy one of their records. They're only $25.98 for a colored copy. So go buy one of these records and support this band. They're a really good band. Okay. Next up. Now, I debated about even throwing this one in there. I bought it. So I thought I would. I really enjoyed their earlier stuff. But this is Ghost Skeletta. Picked this up. I think I bought this at Books A Million, believe it or not. Yeah, I said at Books A Million. This particular copy, I think it's clear. Yeah, it's clear, translucent. Not their best work, more poppy, kind of slowed down. Not a lot of thrash or metal. Not a lot of metal on this album, I'd say, which is what we kind of all know Ghost by. A kind of prog rock, prog metal-esque. Complete change to form for me on this record. I love their first 3 albums. This obviously is Ghost 5th studio album. I think it's their 5th, is it? Their 6th studio album, I'm sorry. But I will tell you that they have certain variants of this record that go for big money. Some $60, $90, $100, depending on what color variant that you bought. I don't really care about all that. This is the clear one. I think this is the base one that they had. But yeah, I mean, it's a good listen, but just not what you're expecting when you're expecting a Ghost album, for me. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below. What was your thoughts if you heard this album? What did you think about the Ghost Skeletta album? Let me know. Curious to know what you guys think. Now we're getting into some fun stuff, some good stuff. Man, I've been looking high and low. Look. I say high and low. I could have walked into, I could have went online and bought a copy of this record anytime now. I'm not a big online shopper. I'm just not. I'm a brick and mortar guy. I like to support my local record stores. That's what I like to do. I like to be able to go into a record store and just everything about being in the record store or the music store, which is what was around when I grew up. When you went and bought music when I was growing up, you went to the record store, you thumbed through the CDs, you found something that looked unique to you. You flipped it over, you read the song list on the back. There was no, back when I was buying music, there was no, let me pull this track up on YouTube and see if I'll like this album or not. It was just kind of a shot in the dark based upon the album art and the track listings on the back. And some of those were hits for me, and some of those were fails for me. But I found a lot of great music that way, and I feel nostalgic when I go into a record store today. I don't find myself buying a lot of music that I haven't heard before, with the exception of that Hellfire album. I did buy that one. I've never heard them before, and I bought that, which was good to do. This band I'm going to show you next was never on my radar when I was coming up and cutting my teeth listening to music, because I was more of a Metallica fan in that vein. Hard rock, heavy metal was kind of where I was at. I was late to the alternatives. I don't want to say are they alternative. I don't know if they're alternative, but I was late to that kind of scene. Obviously with the Pearl Jam 10s and the Alice in Chains and the Soundgardens, I like that stuff. That stuff was good to me. But this particular band, in the beginning, when those other bands were releasing their music, I just, I don't know. For whatever reason, I just threw them to the wayside. And let me quit talking without showing the record, and then I'll show the record here. This, everybody would know. Let me take this. This is going to be really glary because it's metallic. It's got a metallic sheen on it. But this is Gish by Smashing Pumpkins. And I know it's blasphemy that I never gave this album a chance, but this album today, as I grow older and I can appreciate good music, good songwriting, good production in music, this album has become one of my favorite albums ever. And it's just an incredible record. When I think Smashing Pumpkins and I think of the era, 1991 is when this came out. When I think of the era of music when this came out, this is the quintessential Smashing Pumpkins album to me. It's well established that Billy Corgan kind of went off on his own path and kind of, had a lot of infighting with his bandmates. And it's been in many interviews that he felt like he wrote all the music and he wrote all the songs and that he should have all the say. And he kind of went on his own path. And I think his music suffered for that. Now, if you were to talk to him, he would say that it didn't, because he grew when, as he got older, his music taste changed. But this album and the production on this record, when I can sit in here and put on my wraparounds and listen to this record, Gish, there's just not a bad track on here. The songwriting is incredible on this album. I just love this record. This is a collector's edition copy of this record. It's a gatefold, obviously. There's the inner. There's a sleeve that you can put your record in. I have mine in a polyline sleeve. I don't like to put my records in this stuff here. There's the shrink. I'll keep it in there. There's kind of the back, which matches the inner sleeve. But this is a collector's version of Gish. So happy. I walked into my record store and there it was. Golly, I went off on a tangent. Anyway, to go back. So I could have bought this album a million times online. And I was like, I'm just going to wait. And maybe I'll see it in my brick and mortar store. Now, granted, I was running out of patience with that. And it never showed up. And I wasn't really telling anybody to order it. It's not like I was going to my local record store and saying, hey, could you order me a copy of this? And I was in there about 2 weeks ago. And my local record store has a stack of new arrivals, new music or whatever. And there it was, one copy of Gish, and I grabbed it. And I even shouted out loud, I was like, yes, it's a small record store. And the lady that runs it and owns it, she was like, yeah. I was like, Gish, man, it's my favorite Smashing Pumpkins album. And we ended up high-fiving. She's like, I agree. You know, everybody says Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness or whatever. Nah. Not taking anything away from that record. It's a great record in its own right. But Gish can't be touched. Can't be touched. Rhinoceros, I Am One, all those songs, man, incredible songwriting from Billy Corgan. Staying in that vein, we have their second release, which is Siamese Dream, obviously. And this is a great album as well. I don't think it holds a candle to Gish. This also is a collector's edition. This one was expensive. I think I paid $50 for this. Just a big, just a huge copy of this record. Kind of show you guys what's going on here. It's an inner gatefold. I believe that it's just black vinyl. Yeah, just black. It's just black vinyl. I'm never gonna get this thing in here now. That's why I didn't want to take it out. You know, these new records are tight when you're trying to get your albums in and out. So, but it came with the paper sleeves that you can put in, and then the original back of the record. And what else do we have? Oh yeah, on the back of the sleeves are the lyric sheets in this particular copy. There it is. It's metallic as well. These must have been redone by the same original. Sorry about the glare. By the original, the same person that did Gish must have done this. The same company. I'll say from Gish to Siamese Dream. So if I'm sitting and I'm listening to Gish, the production's super clean. You can really hear all the nuance when you listen to wraparounds. There's the shrink. When you're listening with wraparounds, you can really hear all the nuance in the music and all the little things like the pump organs and why is there a little slight guitar over here, and you can understand Billy Corgan's melodies over the music and everything else. I find that with Siamese Dream, it's a little more blowed out. So it's a little more like in the production than Gish is. I like a little more clear production. It's funny how picky I get in the music that I listen to the older I get. But man, I listen to music to enjoy it, and I want to sit back and relax and put those wraparound headphones on and just forget about all the worries of the world and all the pressures and the paying the bills and everything else. And when the kids are in bed and mom's, relaxing or whatever, I can come out here to the man cave and just zone out. And that's what I like about music. Next up, one of my favorite albums of all time. I was able to get a copy of this, and the same thing with this record. That it was with Gish. I could have bought this album a bunch of times online. I was wanting to see if it ever come into my local record store. Sure enough, I was in there this last Saturday, and they had it. And this is none other than the Jimmy Eat World's Bleed American. This is Jimmy Eat World's 4th studio album. Their first 4 albums are great. Static Prevails and Bleed American, and I'm drawing their first album I think was self-titled Jimmy Eat World, and I can't remember what the name of their 3rd album was, the one before this one. Drawing a blank. If you know, leave a comment down below. But this album is all killer, no filler, with Bleed American, praise chorus in the middle, sweetness. I mean, this album's got 4 just massive Jimmy Eat World hits on it. I love the production on this album as well. Matter of fact, it's in my record player right now. It's not even in here. I was listening to it. But Jimmy Eat World, Bleed American, if you haven't heard this record in its entirety, I feel like a lot of people passed over Jimmy Eat World for some reason, but great band. If you haven't heard this record in its entirety, go, man, give it a listen. It's a killer record. Maybe person that's new into rock and roll, maybe that 15 or 16-year-old that's coming up now, could listen to that and say, man, I like that band. Let me go back and get it, as I did with Metallica when I was 12 and 13 years old in 1991, 1990, when they had already been around for 9 years. I hadn't heard of them yet. Anyway, that Jimmy Eat World Bleed American came out in 2004, I believe it was. Excuse me, let me check my... 2001. I'm sorry. So that album is 24 years old, by the way. Boy, that'll make you feel old. And last but not least, the best album other than Gish and other than the Jimmy Eat World Bleed American that I have bought in this last month, that I have been not on YouTube while I'm out scouring the world for these albums, not the world, but my local record stores for these albums, so I can bring you guys good music. This has been one of my best finds. And I knew it was going to be already because I love the band. I love the production of this band. And this is none other, and this album is great. If you slept on Chevel, by the way, there it is. I gave the name away before I threw it up there. But this is Chevel's Bride is Blasphemy. It's a brand new release. It came out in April or May of 2025. And it is freaking killer. Heavy. Thrashy, a very metal record from Chevel. You know, not that they're not, but a very metal-esque record from Chevel. And I do want to say something about Chevel. Chevel is one of the hardest working bands in rock and roll and hard rock. They just continue without fail to pump out great album after great album after great album after great album. And I think they get unfairly lumped with other bands that started in this time frame. And they really shouldn't be. They are their own band. They shouldn't be lumped with anybody else. You know, everybody talks about Dave Mustaine as a great riff writer, as he is. And James Hetfield and people like that as great riff writers. Well, so is he. So is he. The frontman for Chevel writes some amazing riffs. Amazing riffs. Some of the most memorable riffs in rock and roll. If it's been a while since you gave Chevel a listen, maybe it's all the way been since Wonder What's Next, way back in, what was that, 2000 or 99, 98 or whatever that was. Go listen to this. Go listen to this. And you'll be like, wow, that is the best thing going in rock today. Because it was. When I put this album on and I listened to it the other night, and I got done, I laid in here, turned the lights off, laid here in my wraparounds on, listening to this record, I thought to myself, that is the best new music I've heard in 2 or 3 years. Since the last Chevel album, or the last Metallica album, 72 Seasons. But yeah, man, Chevel, Bride is Blasphemy, killer record. And once again, Chevel with their album art, one of the best. They always have some amazing album art. This is the back of the album, in case anybody's wondering. But yeah, that's it. That's what I got. I hope it was worth the wait. We went all the way back to Can Heat and Heart, all the way from 1968. We went to 1975. We went to 2019, back to 1991, 1993 with Siamese Dream, all the way up to 2000, and then finally ended on something that just came out in 2025. And chronologically, that's kind of what I was trying to do, kind of get a record from all the great eras of rock and roll. Nothing from the 80s, although that Heart is an 86 press, but it did come out in 76. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you're still hanging out around here at the end of this video, please leave a like. It's free, and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, I want to say, you know, college football season is coming up. So I'll be shifting to a lot of college football content, especially Auburn content, in my shorts mainly. Not a lot of long, full-length videos on that, but really felt the need to get back to my community and bring another music video and an album video, a vinyl video, if you will, to let you folks know what I've been up to and what I've been picking up to bring to you folks. I get to enjoy and listen to it. I hope that you folks see the records and you say, hey man, I'm going to give that band a try, and broaden your horizons as well. Without further ado, we'll see you on the next one.